Bismillah. I'm gonna tell my story so maybe that it can help somebody else or they can learn from it. My story, where can I start? I don't even know where to start for real. Well, right now is April 16th or 17th and 2025, and I have been in a wheelchair because I got shot in the head in July 2020. That story starts, I'm gonna say, when I went into the federal system. I went to the federal system and I didn't even know it, but uh, it be plugs in the feds be looking for dudes, checking dudes out to see, you know what I'm saying, if they could do some business with them later on or something like that. You know how trustworthy and respected they are. And when I went into the feds in 2012. When I came home in 2017, you know, my guy, he hit me, and we started doing business, and I started, seeing a little success. And with success, those that know, you get, you climb higher and higher. You try to get higher and higher, and I was kind of, feeling myself a little bit. I ain't gonna fake, but what eventually happened was I got a homeboy that I was hitting with something, and I came over his house one day because he had some little change to spend, and while I was there, I noticed this young lady laying on the couch, and when she woke up, we introduced ourselves, and then we started kicking it from like that day on, and one thing led to another, and me and this young lady began having intimate relations, and she actually stole some money from me one night, like $5 grand on my truck. I had an Audi truck I had rented, and we went out for our dead homie Cortez's birthday, and she stole $5,000 out my truck. I didn't know that at the time because there were other people with me who I thought, like, man, could have did it. So I didn't react or respond in any type of way to that, where I should have got away from her. I should have got away from her a long time ago because she wasn't nothing. Like, I'm talking about nothing. Like, somebody who ain't motivated to go do nothing. It's already somebody else's fault, mooching off of everybody else. And it was crazy because that shit, like, really don't even seem like it was real to me. And at the same time, I slipped. I tripped because I started getting high, I started snorting dope. And that shit really had me going off my rock, off my square. And so in July 2020, me and this young lady, we decided to go down to Atlanta. It was her cousin's birthday. We went, I remember, this was what I remember. Going to Atlanta, going to her cousin's house, and then we went out to a strip club, Pinups or Blue Flame. I don't know which one. But me and this young lady, we got into it in one of these clubs. She called me A broke ass. Oh, all this is apparent. This is coming from court documents and witness testimony. She called me a broke ass nigga, and then my reaction was I threw my drink in her face, and then we began fighting, and we were escorted out of the club. We went back to Crystal's house. I kept telling them, take me to the airport. Just take me to the airport. And she was the young lady who shot me. Lauren is her name. She's like, no, you ain't gotta go nowhere. You ain't gotta go nowhere. You don't have to go nowhere. And all this. We get into it again at her cousin's house somehow. And again, this is from her own cousin's testimony. She wouldn't calm down. She was erratic and talking all crazy. Wouldn't let me leave. So I said, well, if I can't live, let me know where I'm finna stay at, where I'm sleeping at. So I went to the I went to the car, got my gun, because I was not about to go to sleep. Sleeping all the way, knowing that me and this girl got into it, and if she tried to come in here and do something to me, I'm protecting myself. So Crystal tried to talk her down. She thought she talked her down. She said she talked her down, and she thought she was done. Crystal went in her room, and then she went to sleep, and next thing you know, she said she heard a gunshot, and it woke her up. So she came in the room I was sleeping in, and she saw Lauren stop kicking on me, telling me to die bitch, die bitch. This is what she was saying. And she tried to drag me to the closet. What I remember is laying in the bed and the door opening and seeing somebody profile step into the door frame and kind of saying something, but I don't remember any words. Understand, I was heavily intoxicated, alcohol and drugs. So I was like out of it. And then the next thing I remember is the EMTs putting the brace around my neck and being on the back of the ambulance. And them asking me questions about like allergies and stuff. So I wake up, I come to in the hospital. I have a trach in my throat that's pumping oxygen into my lungs. I was DOA at Grady Medical Center in Atlanta. And when I woke up, I was calling the nurse. I was hitting the button, and nobody would show up. And when they finally showed up, I was like, well, what happened to me? And they's like, you got shot in the head. And I'm like, I got shot in the head? I'm like, by who? And they like, and they don't say nothing. I say, man, where am I at? They like, you at Grady Medical Center. I'm like, where is this bitch Lauren? Where is Lauren? They like, that's who shot you. Oh, wow. That's who shot me. I'm like, y'all lying. Y'all lying. So they're like, you think we'll make all this up in a hospital with you in a bed and just to play a trick on you, to lie to you about something? Why would we do that? And I started, like, when I woke up, I remember saying all the prayers that I knew in my head that I could remember. I just kept praising Allah for not taking my soul, and I was still here. And then the nurses came in with an iPad because I told them I wanted to make a call. I needed to call my wife and my daughter. They came in with an iPad and FaceTime my wife for me. She answered the phone, and then she put Demi on the phone. And I remember hearing their voices, and I remember just crying, like just relief, just emotion, just being overcome with emotion. And the nurses told my wife, well, we don't know what you told him or said to him, but he has been doing way much better. He's been really like fighting, coming back. And I remember saying, reassuring my wife that I was still in my right mind. I remember I started naming off previous addresses that we lived at, and to let her know like that I wasn't like damaged and burned by being shot in the head. I was not just alive, but I was alive and I could function. But while I was in the hospital, still recovering, I had a stroke, and which left me partially paralyzed and left me with epilepsy. I have epilepsy now, and I've been to rehab to learn. I had to relearn how to walk again, how to stand again. When I came home, when I was released from the hospital, I couldn't even take myself to the bathroom. But the therapy, it worked. It was scary going through, because trying to, like, once you lose the ability or the function in one of your legs, even this for anybody who's ever had a knee injury, like an ACL tear or MCL tear, you know how scary that is, putting weight back on that leg. And I don't have nothing to catch me if I fall over. I can remember the therapist, I was standing on this wooden block, and I remember him telling me to step off, and I moved my left foot to put it on the ground, and it was on the ground. I could see it, and it was so scary. Like, man, I did that, and then I had a cane, a quad cane that I started with. And I remember I had to walk on the balance beams like the ballerinas use. I had to walk on a walking, I don't know what they called it, but it was a beam, a balance beam. I started off, that was the first place I walked. And it was in the St. Louis Rehabilitation, St. Louis Rehab Center, one of the best in the country. I was there, and they helped me get my confidence up, and actually got me moving my arm again, and helped me to taught me how to rehab myself in a way, how to get dressed, put clothes on. All of these things I had to learn again, because I only have one functioning hand now and one functioning arm. So everything I do, I have to do with this right hand, which takes some settling, some getting used to. It's a hell of an adjustment. And I'm not complaining, because I did all this to myself. I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that, and what bad comes from you is truly from your own hands, and what good comes from you is from Allah. So I believe I put myself in this predicament, because if I would have been on my deen, I would have never been with that young lady. I would have been at home with my family where I was supposed to be. And let me tell you something, man. All you dudes out here that's trying to, reach the top, be successful, don't nothing say, man, that you gotta have ain't no rule that say you gotta have a side bitch or none of that, a side piece, a girlfriend, an extra girlfriend, none of that, man. It don't have to be done. You don't need that. If you got what you got working at home is working. And always look at yourself and take notice of yourself and what's going on with yourself. And that's one thing I didn't do. I didn't realize what I had really. So I jeopardized it. And it's a good thing, man. Allahu Akbar, that I have the wife that I have. Because I don't know many women that would have had enough forgiveness in their heart to accept their man back, their husband back home after the betrayal and disrespect that was displayed. And I can actually walk better than expected now without my cane, without using it. Sometimes I walk around the house without the cane. Sometimes I walk outside, go outside the back door and walk around to the front door and come back in without the cane, just as exercise to get myself used to walking again. Got to be able to do muscles back up because they've been dormant for so long. But how do I feel? I feel, in a way, I feel betrayed, but in a way, I don't feel like any hostility or anger towards anybody because of what I built. And I understand that that bullet, when it was created, it had a destiny. And I was at the end of that destiny. Also understand that everything is written. The first thing Allah created was the pen. And Allah told the pen to write. The pen asked, what shall I write? And Allah commanded the pen to write down everything that will happen up until the day of judgment. So everything that happened, what's coming to you, is coming to you. It's meant for you. What's not meant for you, you will never get. So when you understand that, you kind of have a different outlook on life. You know, and occurrences that happen in life. So, alhamdulillah, I'm still alive. I try to use my time to help and reach and teach others. I've been to a couple of places to speak to some children that were high-risk youth or at-risk youth. And I'm always ready to go and talk to some children, teenagers, grown-ups, or whatever, about whatever the topic may be, so we can all reach a higher understanding about everything that we're trying to ingest in our minds. Alhamdulillah. You may hear my son upstairs talking. He doesn't know that I'm recording right now. And he's playing the game online.